Okay, so what if your automation tools could understand you just as well as one of your own teammates? We're going to dive into a pretty fundamental shift in software automation that's making that a reality right now. And look, this isn't just about some shiny new tool. It's about completely changing the language we use to talk to our machines. So let's just kick things off with a question that I bet is going to hit close to home for a lot of you. Is your team drowning in a sea of YAML? I mean, are you spending more time fighting with configuration files than actually writing the code they're supposed to be helping with? It's a universal pain point for sure. And, that feeling of just being bogged down, that leads us straight into what I like to call the automation trap. It's this bizarre paradox where the very tools that are meant to save us time ends up costing us a ton in complexity and, let's be honest, frustration. So how did we even get here? Well, I've seen it over and over, and it looks a lot like this, right? You've got DevOps teams and developers just tangled in this web of dependencies, burning hours debugging CI failures, trying to track down flaky tests, and just trying to figure out the logic buried deep inside all that syntax. It honestly feels like you have to become a YAML archaeologist, doesn't it? You're just digging through layer after layer of these config files, trying to uncover what the original intent was. I mean, the whole point was to build amazing software, not to become an expert on the plumbing. But what if we could flip that script? What if, instead of us having to learn to speak machine, our machines actually started learning to speak human? This is where the whole breakthrough idea really comes into play. And that idea is called Agentic workflows. Now, the concept itself is incredibly simple. You just describe what you want done in a plain markdown file, using natural language. Then an AI agent takes your instructions and translates them into the complex, executable GitHub Actions that are needed to get the job done. Simple as that. And this slide just perfectly nails the difference. Look, on the left, you've got the old way. This dense, tangled mess of code that's super specific, brittle, and just so easy to get wrong. And then on the right, you have the new way. A simple, plain English instruction in a markdown file that just says, hey, analyze the current issue and ask for more details if it's unclear. It's a total game changer. So what's actually happening behind the curtain? Well, you describe the task in Markdown. An AI agent, and because this is engine neutral, you can use different ones like Claude or Codex. It compiles all of that into standard actions YAML. And here's the most important part. Because it compiles to native actions, it all stays within GitHub's existing security and collaboration model. So what does this actually look like day to day? Well, this technology doesn't just automate tasks, it effectively creates new AI assistants for your team. You can really think of them as your new AI teammates. So for the DevOps team, imagine having a CI doctor. It automatically investigates why a build failed or why a certain test is being flaky. It then opens an issue with all its findings and even suggests what to do next. The AI does all that tedious legwork, but your team, the humans, still makes the final call. And for developers, you get a PR assistant. This agent can ask for more details on a new bug report, it can automatically update the documentation when an API changes, or it can even suggest fixes when a pull request fails its build. It's all about cutting down on that administrative noise so developers can get back to what they do best, actually writing code. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Is this safe? And that brings us to maybe the most important principle of this entire system, the human-in-the-loop rule. This quote right here is the absolute cornerstone of the whole system. Any workflow that touches your actual codebase must go through pull requests for human review. The AI can suggest changes, it can suggest fixes, but it delivers them through the exact same pull request process your team already knows and trusts. There are no silent changes, no bypassing human oversight, period. So what this means is your governance model doesn't have to change one bit, because this whole system just compiles to standard GitHub Actions. All of your existing branch protections, your review processes, all your policies, they still apply. Just think of it as a new authoring tool, not some kind of permission bypass. So if this is where things are headed, how do we start exploring it without, taking a bunch of unnecessary risks? Let's talk about some really pragmatic advice for getting started. The approach is actually pretty simple. First, you want to start small. Pick one repetitive, low-risk task like maybe issue triage. Second, security is absolutely non-negotiable. Use read-only defaults. Third, Always remember, this is just an authoring tool that fits right into your existing review process. And finally, the whole goal here is to use this powerful new tech to eliminate human busywork, not human judgment. And if you're curious, which you probably should be, getting started is surprisingly fast. As you can see here, it's really just a few commands. Install the GitHub CLI extension, add a sample workflow, set up your API secret, and then run a low-risk task. You can literally start seeing how this could work for your own team in just a matter of minutes.
Which brings us to our final thought. For years and years, we've been the ones struggling to learn the language of our machines. Now, for the first time, automation is actually learning to speak our language. So the only real question left is, are we ready to listen?